Are you curious about bodies, pleasure, and possibilities? And what about curious about what others are up to on the planet when it comes to pleasure, sex, and play? Have you considered what pleasure can do for your life, your body, and your bank account? Do you know something magical, delightful, and out of this world orgasmic is not only possible for you, but totally available to you? If you're ready to be the magical, sexual, sexy beast you know you can be, and you just need the tools to get there, you're in the right place. Now, here's the host of The Pleasure Zone, sensual movement artist, relationship and sex alchemist, Milica Jelenic.
Welcome to The Pleasure Zone, my sweet pleasure seekers. For those of you who have been avid listeners forever, you're going to know that we are only 5 episodes out of the 8th anniversary of The Pleasure Zone, which is absolutely ludicrous and insane to me, because when I was first invited to have a show, I thought, oh, perhaps I have enough information that I could do 6 episodes. Or maybe 2 months. We'll see what happens. Then it took off like rocket fuel, and it's been going and going ever since. I have to say, there were times when I thought there's got to be nothing left for me to say, and I thought about running away. And then you, the listeners, kept me going, and your beautiful, inspirational letters to me of gratitude and all of the feedback that I get and requests for shows. Absolutely grateful to all of you for contributing to the show for all these years, and may there be another 8 more. I'm so excited. 8 years, and kind of cool that coming into the 8th anniversary, we're actually going to be talking about some light keys, and one of them actually is the infinity symbol that looks like an 8 on the side, but we might not discuss all of that today. So it's just kind of fun that it's all super connected. The universe is all super connected. So today I'm going to be having a conversation with Nirmala Raju. Some of you who follow her or know her on Instagram or on different social media, you might know her as Nima or Nila, and she began her spiritual journey in 1997, all those years back, and she's been exploring the world of healing and has made it a request to study numerous modalities that can bring spiritual and physical relief to those in need. Nila draws upon her experiences in a wide range of healing modalities to empower people to expand their lives and their life with ease. She also has channeled a new healing system called the Light Keys. How fun is that? This was originally channeled from Mother Mirra Alfassa, fondly addressed as the Mother, and it involves the use of high vibrational symbols and frequencies to embrace self-mastery. So in a very short span of time, this system has reached over 30 countries. And Nila has facilitated numerous people across the globe to choose emotional and physical well-being. Nila also has been coaching people and conducting classes worldwide to empower people and help them embrace their divinity. So today what we're going to be doing is exploring what are the light keys. Yes, they are a system. Cool. What are they? What is in the system? All these things in the system. I know there are many things in the system. I've been introduced to some aspects of the system, and super curious and fun. So I didn't name all the 5 million things that Nila is certified in, because there are a lot of them, but if you'd like to find out, you can go to her website, and also it's in the post for the show. You're going to find that is on all of her bio is going to be available on the Inspired Choices Network for the show posting, so you can see that there. So one of the things that I like to look at is like all the different ways that we can invite more pleasure, joy, and bliss into our bodies. And this system, some of these parts of the system are actually about having things like, thing that I learned from the system is called Joyous Body Protocol. And who doesn't want to have a joyous body, right? Like, doesn't that just sound delightful? So Nila, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining me today. And I would like to, first of all, talk to you about what was it that, one day you were sitting and you just thought, oh, some information just started to come through and you channeled this. Was it an intentional thing that you channeled, or was it something that just was completely out of the blue?
Completely out of the blue. Actually,
Wow.
I started my mediumship training back in 2004. And I had been practicing, of course, all the meditations and things like that. And when I was working in corporate world, I had to travel 2 hours each way in the train. So this was actually started on a train. When I was meditating on a train, I started getting information. And after the meditation, I just scribbled them down and started practicing. And wow, it was very different. And then I started giving it to my friends and families and my private clients. That's how it started back in 2010 or 2011, something like that. But I had not had the courage to roll it out because it seemed too simple. Too simple to believe. So I did not. And in 2019, I got a lot of nudges from the spirit world to roll it out. And that's how it came into existence to the public.
Wow. So for the last 3 years, we've had access to it as the public, where before it was just Nila doing her thing,
Yeah.
having fun.
Yeah.
And the kind of the coolest thing that I've heard from several of my teachers over my life is that the more we have these codes or keys available to many different people, the more those keys become, how can I say, it's like they become more potent. The more people who use them, the more potent they become. So yeah, it's like if you keep it a secret, it's not going to do so much. So a lot of these things when people are like, these are secrets, keep them to yourself.
Yeah.
It's not going to go very far when that happens.
Actually, I didn't realize that at all, Milica. So when we launched Joyous Body Protocol, the one you learned back in 2019, December in Mumbai, I didn't know it was going to be this potent, this popular. And we thought, it was only hands-on. We couldn't do remote. And we thought it was only physical healing. But now that protocol, Joyous Body Protocol, is like a key that opens up your body altogether. Not just for physical healing of ailments, it's for kind of everything, opening up to receiving, opening up to life energy, opening up your capacities with bodies. And it's that I have realized now that it's because of the way people are using it, because of the demand they are making of the protocol, it keeps expanding. The more people use it, the more people acknowledge what they are creating with it, it's creating more. That
it's a wild thing.
Definitely realized. Yeah.
That is like a sort of maybe it's part of just the way energy works, is the more we share it, the more it expands, or the more we gift it, the more it expands, the more we receive it, the more it expands. So it's very cool that even with light keys, that this is the case as well. And with the Joyous Body Protocol, I have to say it is one of the simplest systems that I have ever learned in my life. And I've learned a lot of systems. I don't even remember how many. So to me, it's actually really fascinating. And some of the work, I actually do a lot of strange and other different work as well. I work with something called radionics, which is using scalar wave technology. And I thought one day, well, I could put these keys into there and see what happens. So I'm going to be testing on myself first and see,
awesome.
Can I actually feel and receive it as a system, as a protocol that I could run through that. So it's just a curiosity. It's kind of fun. And one of the first things too about, I'm just going to speak on Joyous Body Protocol because that's the one I'm familiar with. And then I'd love to talk about some other ones.
Yeah.
One of the things that I first noticed when I started doing it for myself, I was like, oh, this is fascinating. It brought up a memory in my childhood. So I was 8 when I was baptized. I chose to be baptized at 8. My parents chose not to baptize me till then. It was kind of cool. So I actually had a full memory of it. And every part of the body that we do Joyous Body Protocol on, whenever we do the symbols, is everywhere that I was anointed with oil as a child. Which I was like, what? This is like a blessing for the body. It's like an anointment. And I've asked around, and it's not common in all Christian religions to have all those parts anointed. Sometimes you just get dunked, but for whatever reason in Orthodoxy, maybe they're a little older, they got a little bit more values that are a little different. You still get the blessings on all the parts, exactly all the parts. And I was like, what? This is a totally full-on blessing for the body, which is so cool. And it's something that I find in North America, we don't talk about body blessings very much, but I have several teachers from Bali, and they're always talking about blessings and body blessings and spiritual blessings. And yeah, we kind of have walked away from that. And I think this is what a wonderful gift to be able to gift bodies blessings, and you don't have to necessarily physically be there. So I thought I'd share that with you. That was my little like feeling and insight. I was like, this is like a blessing. Very cool. Is that kind of what your sense was too when you first did it, or was this just like news to you?
And thank you so much. And it's a news to me.
Oh, that's cool.
So one thing I have also learned is, you channel something and you put it out there and you are not sure whether, it's really something valuable or not. And then you hear such information just as a, backup. They tell you, okay, yeah, wow, this is what it is. We are bringing the ancient knowledge, or we are bringing knowledge from ascended world. You will get nuggets here and there, little bit of information to take away your doubt if you have any. That's how it has happened. And it's great to hear your version as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's really neat. I thought it was really amazing too, in that, yeah, this is definitely ancient knowledge. The symbols are ancient symbols for sure. Yeah. And they're universal symbols, which is beautiful too, that these are symbols that you've seen like the ones that I've worked with, they're cross-cultural, and it's not like they're owned by a culture or one person or one religion. Like this is something that can be embraced by everybody, where there isn't necessarily like a feeling that you might be disrespecting somebody's culture. So that to me is beautiful, because I think there are so many systems right now that are being kind of watered down, and people are devaluing them and going, no, but I'm an expert in this. I'm like, yeah, but you're kind of stealing it from somebody's culture. So what I love about this is it's not cultural based. It's not, so there's no feel, it's all universal, which is so cool. So I think that's beautiful. And also the simplicity of it, that literally anybody can do it.
Absolutely. So actually last week I did a class for children. Nice. It's a kind of a dimmed down version of Joyous Body Protocol. It's called Ease and Grace Protocol. So we build in some more kindness energy into it for our children. They totally loved it. They wanted more. So it is such a simple thing to do, and very, very empowering.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So you were mentioning before that what you started with when your very first class was the Joyous Body Protocol, and now you have so many things in the light keys, and I would love to explore some of them. Can we, just before we go to break, we have about a few minutes before we go to break. I just wondered if you can give us like a little brief on some of the amazing things that have expanded since 2019 when you first started teaching it.
Sure. Absolutely. We have about 100 different courses now in the past few years. I did not plan any of it. They just came through. And the very popular ones are Light Key Protocol for Abuse and Trauma, Block Clearing, Intimacy, Pain Relief. These are all very simple procedures. We put together light keys and the light key frequencies to achieve specific results, outcomes. So they have been kind of mind-blowing and life-changing for many people. So we can talk more about it after the break, perhaps.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So frequencies, and if people are listening to this thinking frequencies are a little woo-woo, I just want to get real clear. Frequencies are what you are. And if you think it's woo-woo, you need to look at your cells and look how they function and look at the vibration of your body, because even if you are dense, super dense as a body or as a mind or even in your consciousness, you still have a frequency about you. It's irrelevant. Even as your body is decaying and you're dead, there's still a frequency about it. So it's, I think it's something to just know. This is not necessarily if you don't just brush it off because you think it's woo-woo. This is actually, there's actually tons of research behind working with codes and keys and frequencies to heal bodies. And by all means, if you need more information on that, I'm happy to direct you. And by all means, head over to Nila's website as well. We have that listed on the Inspired Choices Network. But if Nila, if you could give that to us now as well, so that the listeners can hear that too, that would be great.
Sure, yeah. So, light key frequencies are basically vibrations, different kinds of vibrations. You start resonating with each and every object, every being has a unique frequency. So you can use each other's frequency to resonate with them, with that. So prosperity has a frequency, gold has a frequency, and you can start using these frequencies to resonate and attract whatever you like to have. So we have a lot of light key frequencies specific for prosperity, specific for clearing the blocks, and many more, creating harmony and things like that. So we put together light keys, the high vibrational symbols and frequencies together to create specific outcome. Those are called protocols. And we have several levels of protocols as well. So there you go.
Beautiful. So what website can they find you at, just so they can write that down before we go to break?
Sure, infinitehealing.co.uk.
Thank you, Nila. So we're going to head to our first commercial break, come back and listen to more about this. As you heard, there are light keys for sexual stuff and intimacy too. So, hey, we're going to talk a little bit about those when we come back, because how many of you out there would love to be able to just do a little healing in those areas and the trauma that may be blocking you from having pleasure. So we're going to talk about those specifically when we come back. You're listening to the Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices?
I kind of
Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email, info@MilicaJelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my sweet pleasure seekers. Today I am speaking with Nirmala Raju. Nila has so many names. Nila, Nima, Nirmala.
You bet, yeah.
So many.
Every
awesome.
country seems to give me a name.
Oh, that's so cute. I wasn't sure if they were like secondary names, like when you were like different like things going on in your life, you're like, well, now I'm 40, so I'm Nila now, and maybe now I'm like 45, so I'm Nima. Like I thought maybe it was just like an age thing that you just kind of changed it as it's like gets more mature, the name changes a bit or something.
No.
It's just everybody creating it on you.
It's just, it just happened. So basically my full name is Nirmala Raju, right? So Nirmala. And then when I got married, it became Nirmala Raju. And then I was writing. So I wrote 12 books in Tamil, my own language. So
wow.
My pen name was Nila. So meaning moon. Okay. And
beautiful.
then, I moved to UK, and people couldn't pronounce my name Nirmala properly, so I became Nimi.
Oh, that's funny.
I moved to US and somehow the name Nila stuck.
Came
I
back.
don't know how. And in Israel, they call me Nili. So there you
You
go.
have like 500 names. What does Nirmala mean, out of curiosity?
Pure.
Pure. Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
But my name, when translated to English, means sweet face.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. I was like, oh,
Good.
that's lovely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love names and I love meanings of names. I think it's fascinating to me, just as a side note, how, because there's actually frequencies in names as well too, right? And sometimes when you name somebody something, just like an animal or anything, they kind of take on the characteristics of that. So it's kind of fascinating. I specifically named my daughter Ziva on purpose, and the name means, it's Hebrew, it means splendor. And so the target was so that she could be splendor in my life. So you say it enough, there's a frequency that comes out, right? And then you start to get resonating with that frequency. If you named your child Jackass, you would have a very different response, I'm sure. So
I agree.
hey, how's it going, Jackass? Like, I don't think it would work as well. And I bring that up because there are definitely, like, it's like a coded system, and it's like a key, right? And names are keys as well, and words are keys. And so this system that you have channeled, that you've brought to the world, and that everybody, you always say we, so I feel like there's a co-creation. Is that a co-creation with bodies, people in bodies and people out of bodies, and a combination of both?
For me, I always tell people in the class, this class is facilitated by you all. It's not just by me, because every class is different depending on the demand people make. The course may be the same, but the information that comes through, the consciousness that comes from, changes with respect to the people who co-created. So the class credit doesn't just go to me at all. It's all of us. That's what I say. So light keys are not just channeled something from some specific source. No, it's all created by all of us with our demands for more, for conscious evolution. So that's why
Beautiful.
I tend to say we.
I like it. I was like, is it an English thing? Is it the royal we? Is it the we're good. So I'm curious, at some point you were facilitating classes, and at some point somebody had something show up where you went, we need to do something as a trauma protocol. And I'm curious if you remember what that was, or what that brought out, and what kind of results you've been seeing with people with the work that you're doing with trauma.
Oh, wow. Okay. So actually, there wasn't any trigger at all. It just came through, and I gave it to people for free at that stage. And, I think it was some wildfire or something like that in Australia, if I'm right.
Yes.
So
a year or
we
two
thought,
ago.
okay, yeah, all of us, we can get together. We will run this protocol and see how things change. So that's how it all started. And on the same day, it rained.
That is so cool.
It rained. So it was, a lot of people from many countries who joined, and we did the trauma protocol for the planet, basically. And
Wow.
that's how it started. And the results have been mind-blowing. Actually, especially this is very, very potent for people with sexual abuse, as well as suicidal tendencies. One of the clients was kind of locked up, shut off totally, and he refused to come out of the room. He refused to eat for weeks. So his family was very, very worried. So one of our facilitators went and taught the whole protocol to the whole family, and they did themselves. They didn't even run it on him. Within a couple of days, he not only came out, he was willing to travel to another place.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really, really awesome. And for many people, it's a go-to protocol. If you don't know what's going on with your life, just do abuse and trauma protocol. It takes only about, 5 to 10 minutes. but
Very
it's
cool.
huge. And people tell me that, while doing the protocol, you don't even have to complete all the steps. One trauma goes and another lines up. So it's that quick, very fast.
Oh,
So,
beautiful.
yeah.
I'll be taking that class. I'm super intrigued by trauma and how it affects our bodies and how it sits in our bodies. And I've taken many different perspectives of it. I've learned from so many different sources, different ways of releasing trauma in the body. And it's always nice to know more. And essentially, like when I look at bodies and how trauma affects the body, is like you have a soul. And inside that soul, when a trauma occurs, if it doesn't release, that soul is clouded by trauma. And so that soul can never fully access all of the stuff that's like the purity of the soul. And then it gets more clouded with fears and with false beliefs and with facades and with addictions. And so there's all these like layers that we pile up on top of it. And so even if we look at in our lives, have you had fear? Well, the truth is, if you have fear, you have trauma. And if you have addiction, you have trauma. If you have false beliefs, you have trauma, because all of them come back to your soul has never been fully allowed to release all of that trauma that's sitting in there. Yeah. So having an easy access tool to release this is amazing. So remember to check out the the light keys,
wellness system.
Yeah, the light key wellness system. Go onto that website. We've got the links on Inspired Choices Network, and just even if you take the prerequisites to take that class, if there's prerequisites, or if it just doesn't have whatever it is, go and figure it out. Because if you're not finding any ways to get this out of your system, and you're living a life where you feel like, if you feel like you're miserable and you don't know why, and you feel like, but I've tried everything, and I'm trying to do positive thinking and it's not working. Well, some of those positive thinkings are those false beliefs that you've clouded over because you have fear, which the fear came from the trauma. So when we look at the root of that, and you were saying that most people do that as a go-to, it makes total sense to me that we would do that, because essentially that soul is holding the traumas. And some of these addictions are things we don't even think about too. Like you might think, oh, sex addiction, especially on this show, or drug addiction or alcohol addiction, but sometimes even addiction, like I'm doing right now, is over talking. So that's actually a sign too of trauma, where you start to over talk. So I start to notice these things in myself, and I'm like, oh, I'm over talking. What is that all about? Hand it over. So I'm going to hand it over, Nila. Sure. So that's how fast you can do it. I just want you guys to know you can notice it in yourself.
So for me, addiction is lack of choice, right? When you don't have choice with something, then it becomes addictive. You become a slave of that. So for me, it's lack of awareness. So when you don't acknowledge something, when you suppress something, be it trauma or be it your own capacities, it will disguise itself in several ways until it captures your attention. So when you go into trauma, when you experience trauma, for me, your soul fragments. A part of it is frozen at that timeline with those experiences, with those emotions, and anything similar that, remotely resembles that incident or that timeline, or even you see people similar to who were present in that timeline, then it triggers. You act out like that little one. If you have too many traumas, you have that many fragments. So that's where you start to have internal conflicts. So with light keys, what we do is we look at, basically the keys will unfreeze. They will open up these little parts. They come into your awareness and you heal them with kindness.
It's beautiful.
That's how it works. It's extremely simple. And the protocol for abuse and trauma, it's a basic class. It doesn't have prerequisite. It costs about $50 or something like that for life-changing. Yeah.
Hello, universe. How is not everybody on the planet taking this, and like every school teaching it?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's worth it. Definitely.
It's not only worth it, it's almost insane how affordable it is. Like, I love that you've made it so that the system is affordable to literally everyone. And that level of trauma, which actually might be keeping you from and fragmenting you and keeping you frozen, kind of like similar to my thought on the cloud, it's a similar idea. That once you get freed from that, you can have these things that you desire, like the money, like the life, like the love, like all of these things that you have maybe been repeatedly denying yourself because you are attracting all that stuff that's similar to your trauma. So what a wonderful way to start to have a life where you feel free and free to choose, because it's I think that's what it is. Sometimes we know we have freedom, but then we forget we have choice, or that we're allowed to choose. So it's like, oh, wait a second, I'm free and I can choose. Fantastic. Sometimes we think, oh, I can choose, but I'm not free. So I don't know, where's that going to go? They kind of get mixed up a bit. But I'm excited that that is such an affordable class and so available, and it has no prerequisites, and there's no excuse for anybody not to take it. So it's very cool.
So why don't we probably taste a little bit of the light key frequencies and the effects?
Oh, I love that. So let's do that. We're going to head to our next commercial.
Okay.
And then when we come back, that gets you guys coming back to us to have a little taste of some light keys. And they feel delightful. So if you are driving or something, I encourage you to pull over now, just so you can like have a moment to receive the light keys when we come back from the break. You're listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Thank you.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Interested in masturbating for money, copulating for consciousness, and pleasuring on purpose? 21 Days of Sexual Magicism with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic is an exploration of tools, processes, and actions that you can use to create more for your life, your body, your money inflows, and so much more. Graduated learning for all levels of interest. Learn at your own pace via video classes or join the yearly live class. Take a peek at www.milicajelenic.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is The Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email, info@milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my sweet pleasure seekers. Today, I am speaking with Nirmala Raju, or you might know her as Nirmala Raju, or you might know her as Nima Raju, or you just might know her as Hey Cutie. It just depends on how you're taking it that day. We're talking about joy and bliss and pleasure and light keys, and how do they go together, and how can we work them together? And there are over 100 different protocols in the light key system, and some of them are very much geared towards pleasure, And to me, one of the keys in order to have pleasure is to be able to get out of trauma and abuse. Not that we ever 100% get out of it, but we can certainly get to the point where we don't have it affecting us 24/7, where we're in bed crying all the time. So one of the things that Nila offered to you listeners, you lucky listeners, there's a special offer for the first 5 people who sign up for let me read this, for a 15-minute free consultation where you can start to receive the product Creating Abundance with Kindness, which is worth $22. So 5 of you who sign up right away, well, there's 5 of you, so sign up right away after you hear this, like it'll go fast. So sign up. And is that for the newsletter, Nila? Or just through here?
Actually, if they go to the website, there is a menu called Where to Start, and
Okay.
they can go in there and just submit their details for us to be able to get in touch with them and give them 15 minutes free consultation to see where they can start their journey with light keys.
Beautiful.
Yes.
So you can mention that you saw Nila on the Pleasure Zone or heard her on the Pleasure Zone, and this is what you're asking for, is a special offer. So very cool. And thank you for gifting that to the listeners. And I love it. I have like, it's like watching people tripping over each other, running, trying to get, it's fun. So just before we went to the commercial break, we were talking about, actually Nila offered to let us have a little taste of the light keys, which I love. So I'm ready to receive. It may be quiet, it may not be. I have no idea what's coming. So if it sounds like we're not doing anything, it's just sit back and receive. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. Okay, so I can do something called kindness attunement, which is a combination of light keys, the symbols, and the frequencies. Okay, so attunements are like vibration upgrade to something that we are attuning to. So in this case, it's kindness. Okay, so abuse can be healed with kindness, immense kindness, radical kindness to yourself. That heals abuse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a kindness attunement. It takes a few seconds to few minutes depending upon the receivers, and the receivers are not in linear timeline, right? Anybody, anytime, not just in this moment. Okay, so I'm going to be doing the attunement silently. All you have to do is just relax. That's it. Sometimes you may feel some chills. Sometimes you may feel energy running up and down your spine. Sometimes you may feel that in your brain, depending upon where you are in your journey. So sometimes you may not feel anything if there is a block to receiving. So don't worry about it. Kindness can heal everything. All right. So just relax and take it easy and receive. Okay, there you go. Thank you for receiving.
Thank you. Lovely.
Okay, cool.
My eyes started watering on their own volition, so that's fun. Thank you for the release.
Yeah. And I can also give you a few tips for all of you to work on your own, few tools that are freely available from like Key Wellness Systems. Would you all like to have?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's look at a memory that you would like to heal, or a manifestation of the memory, something like an obsession or something like like some fear, irrational fear. Just bring up that in your awareness and tune into your body and see where you are storing it, where the sensation is. If it is not specific to a particular area, don't worry about it. But if it is, just sense that, okay? And call waves of kindness. Waves of kindness is a frequency. So just call waves of kindness and allow it to flow through that sensation. You don't have to visualize, simply call. You are the master of your own universe. So you have the right to command this frequency to flow through the sensation or your whole body. Just call waves of kindness and be still and receive. And I'm flowing waves of kindness to all of you who are listening to this anytime. Okay, now sense how the sensation is. How is it, Milica? You were kind of deep.
Yeah, it was deep. It was interesting. So ever since childhood, I've had this strange and irrational fear of homelessness. And I used to look around and try and look at places that I could live. And I had figured out by the age of 6 that I could like live in a bathroom very effectively. And as long as I had water source, I was fine. And I knew that I could survive in a bathroom. It is totally rational. But every once in a while, something kicks in and something triggers that to come back up. And I'm like, oh, okay, so where's the bathroom I can live in again? And so when I asked my body where that was sitting, it was sitting in all the joints of my body.
Okay.
My elbows especially and my knees especially. And it was like, okay, so then waves of kindness come through. It starts to throb. And it's like this glom, that's the best word I can give you, is like a glom of crap just came out of my chest. And I was like, oh, that's really ugly and funny, because it kind of made me laugh. I'm like, I've been holding a glom of crap for this long. After, like, I can't even, like, I've been doing healing stuff on my own body and going for sessions for 25 years.
Tell me about it. Same boat.
What the hell? So that is really, really cool and super fast. And I've done something like I've gone into before, like, where is it sitting in your body? Blah, blah, blah. There is something divinely beautiful about waves of kindness. And that is just like, it just does something. It seems just like you were saying, so simple. How does it make sense? It's just like so simple.
Yeah, so that's why I was hesitating to roll it out, right? Even now, some people find it too simple to their liking. They want it hard.
give me some more information, make it really difficult. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
And
That is
children
so
use
funny.
it very, very effectively. A 5-year-old boy called Tane from India, he sent us a video message. It was really cool. He said he used waves of kindness to stop the rain.
Oh.
And to heal his sister's fever. So it's so cool, so simple. Children receive it better because they don't have a lot of logic. Magic is
Yeah.
beyond logic, right? So they just go with it and create wonders. Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. Yeah, he'll probably be like, and then I just changed the entire planet because that's what I could do because I can.
Exactly.
I love that. Children are magic. We have one more segment left to come back to, and we're going to dive into a little bit of the stuff around the sex protocol because why not? When we come back. So you're listening to the Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network. And I can't think right now because something shifted in my body. But we'll be right back after this commercial to this show, The Pleasure Zone. That's where we're coming back to.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email. info@milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my sweet pleasure seekers. We are listening to the Pleasure Zone. I'm listening apparently to it myself, and I'm just not hosting it anymore. I'm just going to listen to the Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network. Today, I'm working with, and because I just had a session with Nila and Nirmala Raju, and we're talking about joy and bliss and pleasure with the light keys. And I just thought it was really kind of cool. As we were in commercial, I was like, oh, I wonder how many people will be like receiving from this show. And I thought, oh yeah, what are my stats? And then I had this like slight thought on stats that a lot of my listenership over the last years is actually women in their 30s to 50s in India. So perfect. So there are lots of practitioners of the light keys in India. You can find all kinds of people to assist you with learning it and to work with you. So I love it. And I think it's curious too. And I asked somebody once, I had a guest on, her name's Anjana, and she was telling me that in India, that this is just not something that people are educated in. They're not really educated in sex or pleasure. It's kind of taboo. And I understand that it can be cultural, it can be repression from, British society coming in and being jackasses over history. I get that. So this is kind of like very cool that it can be so freeing to open everybody up from even traumas. I was thinking about like traumas on like the world traumas, but also we look at historical traumas that have gone through culturally, like how much we could heal with some of these trauma and abuse protocols for healing all of that stuff. Yeah. So very cool. And, thank you for bringing it. And I'm curious, what are some of the things that are like in your awareness that had the intimacy, and is it sex and intimacy or just intimacy protocols come up?
We have two different, embracing your sexualness. Yeah. That's a separate protocol, and receiving intimacy, creating intimacy. So that's a separate protocol. So all are, very, very simple, but hey, we have different aspects to it, right? See, I was someone who couldn't say the word sex until recently.
Wow, that's so cool.
Really, you are so locked up, you can't talk about it, you can't express it. That's how generally in India it's a very secret topic. You are not supposed to, especially women are not supposed to. So there is a lot of suppression around there. So what if we can open it up? See, sexual energy is not something bad. Rather, it is the creative energy of the universe. When you cut it off, you are basically making your life futile. Don't you feel it? See, because you come into this world as a spiritual being in the body. You are here to evolve through the body. And if you are cutting off your pleasure from the body, then what's the point?
Yeah. What is the point? That's what I always say. What is the point?
What is the point? Your body is capable of creating so much pleasure. If you don't want to receive it, if you see it as a sin, then what's the point of coming into the body? You could have been just there up as the spirit, right? So yes, that's exactly what we look at. We release all those conditioning and we start to embrace our sexualness, sexual energy. So the thing is, it does not mean that you have to go flaunt your, body parts or you got to sleep around. Doesn't mean that, but you embrace the sexual energy, the universal creative force that you have, and you have choice with it. If you want to sleep with many people, nothing wrong with it. If you want to have a mad sex with only your partner, you have choice with it. If you don't want to have any copulation with anybody, then you have a choice with it as well, when you actually acknowledge your sexual energy and your sexual capacity. Every one of us have different capacity. Some people are capable of gifting a lot of pleasure to people. Some people are receiving and in turn gifting. Receiving is also gifting, right? And some people have the healing capacity through sex. Some people have the capacity to bring awareness to people who have sex with them. So everybody has their own capacity. When you acknowledge it, then you have choice with it. Otherwise, what happens, the more and more you suppress it, the more and more it comes back at you. Actually, you use it against you, because any potency, any energy you compress, it's going to explode at some point, right? It's like I always say, your capacity suppressed is like putting a tsunami in a bottle. Someday it's going to burst. So that's what we actually do. Yeah, open up the capacities, allow you to acknowledge it. Yeah. So I can give you another simple tip to do that. Yeah. See, one more question before we go there.
Yeah. So we have about 2 minutes left, so sure, we have to make it quickly. A quick one. Yeah.
Let's go quickly. Yeah. What if your genitals are the ones that have most awareness of your body, most awareness of the universe? So wherever you have locked up that awareness, wherever you have cut off the awareness from genital, you can open it up. Just put your fingers together like this, create a nozzle, put it on your belly button and call Ascension Vortex of Kindness. Okay, I don't have time to explain this, but simply call.
It's all good, we can do it.
Ascension Vortex of Kindness, and see how it goes for you.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's pretty interesting energy. I'm doing it right now. So it's doing something internally for sure. I'm going to just keep running it and have fun with it. Yeah. So for those of you who are now curious and you're running the Ascension Vortex of Kindness on your belly button and you're like, whoa, that's interesting, or you're like not feeling anything, that's okay too. Guys, I've been doing energy work like my whole life. So I kind of have I feel it on some levels where some people don't, and don't make yourself wrong for that. So just play with it and see what happens. See what's going to go on for you. I'd love to know. And Also, there are always classes going on that you can connect with Nila for, and her team and her crew of many who also do this work. So if it's curious and you'd like to do that, opening up your sexualness, dumping some of your trauma and changing it, this is a great system to try that out with. So I want to thank you so much, Nila, for coming on today and spending time with me. And I hope everybody enjoyed this. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to The Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. The Pleasure Zone returns next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.